welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video I'm going to show you how you can create your own layered designs to be cut out from vinyl. So a couple of weeks ago I got asked by someone in my Facebook group how you would put the shape of the American flag with all the different colours inside the outline of a shark, and I thought that was such a brilliant idea that I would do a video on it. So this is the second video that I have done. The first one was showing you how to take the American flag and cut it out of the shark and then add together all the layers to cut out from cardstock. So if you're looking to make a layered cardstock design, check out my other YouTube video, which I'll link to in the description of this one. This video is going to be different because I'm going to show you how to do it with vinyl, and the reason that's different is that with cardstock the aim is to have as many different layers as possible so that you can get a really good 3D effect, but with vinyl you're actually trying to get the opposite. You want all of your different colours of vinyl, so my red, white and blue, but we want the actual total layers of vinyl that we stick one on top of the other to be as little as possible so that we don't end up with something really thick, especially if we're going to be using heat transfer vinyl, because we don't want to end up having to iron on too many layers one on top of the other. So let's get started with our design. I've got an American flag and a shark outline. Both of these are from Cricut Access. I'll put the ID numbers of the images in the description of this video so that you can find the same ones if you want to follow along. The first thing that I am going to do is to make an outline of my shark, and then I can use that outline to cut out the different parts of the flag. So I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger and then go into offset and choose a really small offset. I think 0.1 will be fine. So let's apply that, and now I've got a thin offset around the edge of the shark. I want to cut the shark out of the middle of this, so I'm going to drag both layers to select them, or you can click one in the layers panel, press Ctrl or Shift on your keyboard and then choose the other one, and then down the bottom press the slice button. And that cuts the layers out from each other. So now we have this outline of the shark. I don't need the middle one there, so I'm going to delete it. Now this outline for now, I'm just going to leave it here. And then I'm going to position this one back in the middle. So let's select these both again and then go align and center. The outline of the shark is just in case we want to give it an outline of a solid colour at the end. So for example, if I was putting this on a white shirt, then I might want a black outline all around the edge so that you can see the definition. And if that doesn't really make much sense right now, don't worry, because you'll see what I mean at the end once we've made all the other layers. So for our middle shark, the one that's black, I'm going to need to duplicate this for every single colour that I want to cut out. So let's make this one, I'm actually going to make it grey. I will cut it out from white to be the white stripes and the stars, but there's a weird little bug in Design Space at the moment where if you change something to white, it doesn't always add the line around the edge. So you see, actually it is doing it now. I can still do that line, but sometimes when you change something to white, it gives it a white edge as well, so you can't see it. It just gets lost in a screen of white. So for now, I'm going to make it grey just in case I have that bug again in a minute. So I need to duplicate this, so I've got a red and a blue one. So I'm going to go to duplicate in the top of the layers panel, do it once and make that red, and then do it once more and make it blue. So now I've moved everything about, I just need to center it again. So I've clicked one of the sharks in my layers panel, I'll press Ctrl or Shift and choose all the others, including that outline we made earlier, and then go into Align and Center. These are all now perfectly positioned, so I'm going to group them together by pressing Group at the top of the layers panel. I'm just jumping in here with a quick re-record. In my original video when I was recording this, I duplicated the flag a couple of times at this point because I thought that I was going to need extra copies of the layers later on in the video. But as I progressed with the tutorial, I found out that actually I didn't. So rather than show you how to do that and then confuse you with extra steps, I've removed that part from the video. But please be aware that going forward, when you look in the layers panel on my video, there will be a couple of extra flags flags in there. You don't need them, so don't worry that your layers panel isn't quite the same as mine. Just progress as you currently are with one copy of the flag. I need to work out where I want the shark to go, so let's drag it over. And it's a bit hard to see at the moment because I've got the blue filled in. So I'm going to press the eye icon next to all of my solid fill sharks so that I've just got that outline showing. And now I can position this where I want the shark to go. I think I'm happy with that positioning, but I'll need to do a little bit of playing about at the end to fill in the nose. I'm going to start with the top layer, which is going to be the blue. And this is where the video starts to become different to what we did with the cardstock in my previous video, because for cardstock, I find it easier to start at the bottom layer and work up, but for vinyl, I start at the top and work down. So I'm going to go back to my shark group and ungroup it by pressing ungroup. And then I'm going to hide my outline, and instead I'm going to turn on the blue layer. I also need to ungroup the American flag graphic, so I'm going to press that one and then ungroup. And now I can click my blue shark in my layers panel, press Ctrl on my keyboard and choose the blue part of the flag graphic, and then press slice. This has cut the layers apart, so now I can work out what I do and what I don't need. So I definitely am not going to need this top part, which is the top of the flag with the stars, so I can delete that one. What I want to keep is the blue behind the stars, and then it goes into this rectangle. I also want to keep the blue in the bit of the shark's nose. And if I move this apart, you can see that's actually part of this whole layer. But we don't want the rest of this, the body of the shark and the blue stars. We only want the nose. So I'm going to undo that to put it back into position, click that layer, and then go down to contour on the bottom right of the screen. I'm going to press hide all contours to remove everything, and then just click into the nose of the shark to turn it back on. And then you can see that at the moment it's keeping the body because it's pale coloured in this drop down on the right. So I'm going to press that to hide it. And now when I close this, you see it's got rid of everything around it in that layer, and it's just left me with the nose. And then I have two other layers left, and these are doing the same thing at the moment, so I can just delete one of them, and you see underneath it's still the same. So to join these two parts of the shark together, click one in the layers panel, press Ctrl or Shift on your keyboard, and then choose the other one. Down the bottom, press Weld, and that has joined those two layers together, and that is my blue part all finished. So I'm going to hide that and move on to the red part. So let's turn on our red shark. So now I'm going to choose the red shark, press Ctrl on my keyboard and choose the red part of the flag, and again press slice. Now once again I need to work out what I do and don't want. So let's have a look. I've got this layer here, which is what's giving me the shark's nose. I don't need that one this time because remember we've made the nose blue. So I can delete that one. Then I've got this, which is all the outside. I don't need that one, so let's delete that. And then all I've got left are these two layers, and by pressing the eye on one of them, I can see that these are actually the same. So I don't need both of them. Let's just delete one. I'm not sure why I've got a random box around it. Oh, it's the white layer of the flag. That was confusing me. Okay. All right, so now I've got this. If I turn the blue back on, we can see that we don't want this line of red in the nose. So press the red layer we have left and then go down to contour and take that out. So this is looking good. And if we were putting this on a white shirt, then you might not necessarily need to do a white layer of vinyl because that's a little bit silly putting white vinyl onto a white shirt. But if you just put this on, it's going to look a bit strange because we can't see the definition around the fins and the tail. And that's why we made the offset at the beginning. So if I turn that on, you could cut this from a different colour and then it gives you the outline of the vinyl. So now it does actually look like a shark. Now, one thing I don't really like about this red layer is it's got a rectangle around here, which I think should be blue really. So let's zoom in and just try and fix that. The reason it's doing that is if I drag my blue layer to the top, you can see now it covers it up. So that's just part of how the original flag design was constructed. So it's up to you. You can either leave it like this, but it means you're going to have this little kind of bubble in your design where you're putting the blue on top of the red. So it's going to be a slightly different height here. And I don't want that. So I'm going to go into shapes and choose a square. And then click the padlock so I can turn this into a rectangle. And then I'm going to make this the same size as the blue. And now I can choose the square and the shark, the red shark, and press slice. Delete the two grey parts, and then we've got the rectangle bit of that red. Oops, wrong part. The rectangle of the red cut out, so I can delete that. And now we don't have that little overlapping bit, so that's looking much better. Okay, so I'm also going to hide my white layer of the original flag just to get rid of that rectangle around the edge. And if we were putting this on a white shirt, this is now basically ready to be cut out from vinyl. But what if we're putting this on something other than white? Well, in that case, we're going to need another layer to cut from white vinyl, which will be our white stripes and the stars. So let's see how to do that. I'll zoom out a bit so I have some more space. And I'm going to hide my outline layer, turn on my white filled in shark. Now you could cut the whole thing out of white and then layer the red and the blue on top of it. That's absolutely fine. And if you did that, and if it was going on something with a different colour, then you don't even need to include the border around the edge. You could just have it like that and it will look absolutely fine. And even if you're using heat transfer vinyl, we've still only got 2 layers at this point. So you'd have the full white layer and then the blue and the red, but the blue and the red doesn't overlap, so you're never getting more than 2 layers. But if you prefer to only have 1 layer of vinyl when you're doing an iron-on, then I'll show you how we can slice out that white so that it's just got these stripes. So this is optional, this next bit. You don't have to do it. You could just call it finished as it is now. So what I'm going to do is turn on that outline layer, select everything by pressing select all, and then group it, and then make a copy by pressing duplicate. I'm now going to press select all again to select both of my sharks and then go align, center. So this is one on top of the other. For my top group, I'm going to hide that for now by pressing the eye icon. And then the one underneath, I'm going to ungroup and then delete the white layer. Oops, that's my hidden one. I'm going to move that to the bottom. All right, so my one that's showing, I'm going to delete the white layer and the outline layer. So I'm just left with the blue and the red. I'm going to select those and then press weld. This has joined them together into one. So now I'm just going to delete that last layer of the flag. We don't need that. I'm going to turn on my other one, hide that top one, and then I'm going to ungroup this again. And this time I'm going to hide the red and the blue and the outline. So I've just got the white shark showing. Turn on the welded one, which was the blue and the red welded together. Select that and the white shark that's all filled in, and then press slice. I can delete those blue layers, I don't need them. And then for the 2 that are left, I want to keep the one that has the stars filled in white and delete the other one. So you might need to just play about hiding and showing the ones until you work out which one is the one to delete. And now when I turn these on, you can see how it's going to fill it all in. And now I've got the 3 different colours, but if I cut this out from vinyl, it's not going to overlap at all. It's just going to be one layer of vinyl across the whole thing. I'm going to turn on my outline again because I kind of like how that looks with the outline, but again, you don't need to cut it. As long as this is going on a colour that isn't red, white or blue, it's going to look absolutely fine. I'm going to be cutting mine from adhesive vinyl and putting it on a red notebook, so I am going to need this outline. And because I'm using adhesive vinyl, I actually want to fill in this outline. So just to show you what I mean, let's hide these, and then I'm going to click contour on my main shark and fill it in. So this is going to be cut out of solid black vinyl, and then I'm going to add the others on top. And for me personally, I just think that's going to be easier. And now I've done that, I can see there's actually a little problem on my white layer. It's not filling in that star. So that's probably because, let's have a look. The star got hidden as part of another layer probably, but we can fix that. So I'm going to go into shapes and choose a star. Make it small and zoom in. Make this star the same size as the other ones. Oops. And then position it on top of that gap. Make it white. Just off-white so it matches everything else. Okay, so let's see what we've got now. If I hide everything, I've got my blue layer. I'm just going to move that star. You can see this is why it didn't fill in, because it's got that tiny little gap. So with that star there, I'm going to hide it for now. And then I'm going to get a circle. Make it smaller. And just position it along the edge of the shark to cover up that gap. And then weld that with my blue layer. And then, sorry, it's hard to see because I'm so zoomed in. I've got a little bit left, so I'm going to contour that to remove it. Turn my new star back on. There we go. And now I need to slice this out of the blue so that I've still got the gap in the blue. And the reason I coloured in the one that was there before was because it wasn't quite the same size and I didn't want it to mess up the lines. So let's slice that one. Delete the little bit on the white. And then delete the blue filled in star. And now I can turn that on. I don't know why this is wiggling all over the screen. Now I can weld my little star with the white layer. There we go. And turn everything back on, and now it's actually working as it is supposed to. Now if you wanted to, you could also cut some more stars out of the nose of the shark so that it doesn't have all of this big empty blue space. Obviously that would mean you've then got the wrong number of stars, so it's up to you if you want it to be accurate or if you want it to be more stylized. I'm conscious that my video is getting a bit long now, so I'm going to leave it as it is with all the blue. In the other video I did where I did the cardstock layers, I do show how to cut the stars out of the nose. So if you're interested in that, then go check out the other video and it will show you how to do it. But for now, I'm ready to resize this. So let's zoom out, press select all, group my layers, and then I am going to resize this to go on my notebook and then cut everything out from adhesive vinyl. And then I'll show you what all those layers look like cut out and how to put them all together to go on the front of my book. I apologise for the camera here, but I've been having some camera troubles, so I'm trying to show you this on my phone. I reverse weeded the white first by putting it onto the transfer tape because of all those little tiny stars. I then lined it up with all the other colours of vinyl onto that same bit of transfer tape, and now I'm just peeling it off of the backing. Here's my notebook, and I'm going to position the vinyl on so that it covers up that little notes bit. So I'm going to put it into position and just roughly place it. Then go over it with my scraper tool, make sure all those little tiny pieces of vinyl are stuck, and then slowly peel back the transfer tape to reveal the finished design on my notebook. So here it is, and here it is compared to the cardstock design from my previous video, so you can see the differences. If you want to make the cardstock version, check out the link in the description of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for loads more Cricut Design Space tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye.